So students, we have studied about estimating the identifying the poor people by MPCE method, that is called as monthly per capita expenditure method. According to this MPCE method, we have studied that we used to find out monthly expenditure of a person living in a rural area and in an urban area. And in the urban area, we have seen that person each day needs about 2100 calories from food intake, and after that we have seen that 2400 calories are required by a person in a rural area. So monthly expenditure for these two people in the rural areas, it is rupees 673 as per 2009 and 2010, and in the urban areas it is rupees 860 rupees. Okay, this is the monthly expenditure to be required. This is how the poverty line is to be estimated. Now, if you will see here on this board here, if you will see that the poor people can also be categorized. Okay, so if we categorize the poor people on the basis of this poverty line, as we have studied MPCE method, then you will see that there are three categories of the poor people. One is the chronic poor, transient poor people, and non-poor people. This is the aggregate category of the poverty below poverty line people. And if you will see that we are not only taking the below poverty line people here, but we are also taking those people also in a particular category which are not coming below the poverty line. So this is how we categorize the people according to their poverty line. So let's see here, on an aggregate category basis, we have seen that three categories are there, but each of these categories are having some specific category of poor people. Like for example, in chronic poor people, there are two kinds of people to be included. One always poor, another one usually poor. So when these two poor people, we can see the condition of these poor people can be seen from the poverty line. As you can see that the dotted lines are showing you the poverty line, and this is the graph of always poor people and the usually poor people. So you can see that the always poor people remain below the poverty line always, you can see here, but the for always poor, and the usually poor people are sometimes moving above the poverty line, but they are mostly below the poverty line. So this graph is showing us the two categories of people. Now if we'll look into your NCERT book, then we'll see here that which type of people are these who are coming in the chronic poor people. So these are actually the casual workers who get per day wages. Whenever they are working, for that day wage they get their income, okay, or they can get their wage labor. So sometimes they can, any one time the graph is showing that they can be above poverty line, but mostly they are below the poverty line. Now the second category, aggregate category of the poor people, is transient poor people. And in the transient poor people, you will see again transient poor is that category of aggregate category of poor people, and the two specific categories which are included in this transient poor people, we can see here, one is churning poor and another one is occasionally poor. Now who are these churning and occasionally poor people? So if you will see the graph of churning poor people, this is the graph showing that these churning poor people are those who move in and out of poverty line. They move below and above poverty line, and the graph is showing you this. And apart from this, occasionally poor people, you will see the graph that these are the people who remain above the poverty line, but sometimes due to patch of bad luck, they can move below the poverty line also. So who are these churning poor people? Actually, churning poor people include all those seasonal farmers uh, these are the type of seasonal small farmers who used to get their income in one particular season in which they are growing their crops, but other part of the season they are not growing any crops because they are not having enough money to employ all those type of new technological devices on their farm, and therefore only in one season they are found to be growing crops, and therefore they move in and out of the poverty line or move below or above the poverty line. These are the seasonal farmers, churning poor people. On the other hand, occasionally poor people are those who remain above the poverty line. So these are all those type of rich class people who are businessmen. Okay, so these are all rich class people, businessmen, but due to some patch of bad luck, they can move below the poverty line. Okay, due to patch of bad luck. So therefore these are the occasionally poor people. Okay, so these two type of specific categories of poor people are included in the aggregate category people, which are called as transient poor people, right? So after this, if we'll move on to the third aggregate category of poverty or poor people, you will see here that these are the third category which are called as non-poor people, and these non-poor people include two specific categories. You can see here specific categories are given here. Aggregate category of poor people are given at the bottom. So two specific categories which are included in non-poor are occasionally poor and never poor people. So occasionally poor and never poor people are included in the non-poor people. So as you can see, the name suggesting here is non-poor, means they are not coming in the poor people, and we can say that they are never poor. But in the non-poor, occasionally poor people also comes. As I told you before also, occasionally poor people are those due to some patch of bad luck in their business, they can move below the poverty line. Otherwise, they are always above the poverty line. So they will be also included in the rich class people. And you can see never poor people are included in the, you can see the graph, they are always remaining above the poverty line, right? So these are the three different categories of poor people. Apart from this, if we talk about monthly per capita expenditure, this was the mechanism used to identify the poor people according to their food intake. 2100 calories in the urban areas, 2400 calories in the rural area per person each day. So this type of mechanism was actually not in favor by some of the economists. Some of the economists or scholars used to criticize this type of mechanism of monthly per capita expenditure. Why? What was the reason behind it? So if you get a question that why the economist did not favor MPCE mechanism, monthly per capita expenditure mechanism. So I'm going to read it out for you. This is given on page number 65. So I'll read that paragraph. Economists state that a major problem with this mechanism is that it groups all the poor together and does not differentiate between very poor and the other poor. So according to the monthly per capita expenditure method, which is called as MPCE method, this method does not categorize the poor people, who are the very poorest of the poor and who are only poor. So it does not categorize between the poor people, this type of method. This is why the some of the economists are not favoring this. And apart from this, also this mechanism takes into account only expenditure on food. This mechanism is only taking in account expenditure on food only. But if you see, the other necessary things are also required to be made available to these poor people. So other important things are like that of income of the people. With this, education. With this, healthcare, drinking water, sanitation. Okay, these all are also very much necessary items which are to be required by these poor people. But according to our MPCE method, it is only taking into account expenditure on food, and that is why most of the economists do not prefer this particular type of mechanism. It does not also take into account like illiteracy, ill health, lack of access to resources, discrimination. Most of the poor people are facing discrimination in the society. This is also not to be taken into account, and they are not having even political freedoms. These type of problems also exist in the society, which these poor people has to face. So why these type of you can say concepts are not included in the poverty line? So MPC is not including all these concepts. Then in the life of a community, from this point of view, development is about removing the obstacles to the things that a person can do in life. So according to the on the basis of this point of view only, we can see that development means what? Development means all the obstacles that should be removed for a person who is living his life. These obstacles are like that of ill health, illiteracy, lack of resources, all these things. So all these obstacles, when will be removed, then we can say that poverty is removed. Clear? So this is why most of the economists were not in favor of the MPCE method, or they were criticizing this MPCE method. Alright, so after this, let's move on to the another topic. Our another topic is number of poor in India. Now if you'll see here, the number of poor in India, our next topic is here, number of poor in India, how they are being calculated or measured. So for this we use the method head count ratio. And what is the meaning of this head count ratio? I'll read the definition for you from the NCERT book, page number 65. When the number of poor is estimated as the proportion of people below the poverty line, it is known as head count ratio. So the total number of people who are poor, they are estimated as the proportion of people below the poverty line. So out of the total number of poor people, the people who are below the poverty line, they are counted in percentage. This is what is called as head count ratio. When we calculate the percentage of people, we find out the percentage of these below poverty line people, then it is called to be as head count ratio. And we'll also be studying here that how many number of poor people are there in India. So according to this, you will be seeing one graph there given on page number 66, and in that you can see these two line graphs are given to you. Among these two graphs, if you will see that the total number of poor people in millions, if we'll count, then we will see that about 320 million people were found to be below the poverty line. This was in 1973 to 74. Okay, the total number of poor are in millions given here. So 320 million. But if we'll see that what was the graph in 2011 to 12. So according to this graph, 2011 and 12, we found that the number of poor people came down to 270 million now. Okay, so this is how the number of people reduced from 1973 to 74 to 2011 to 2012, right? When we divide the poor people, we divide them on the basis of two regions, urban area, rural area. So we have found in India that always the number of poor people are more in the rural areas as compared to the urban areas, right? And in 2011 to 12, the gap between the poor people in rural and the urban areas remained near about same. Okay, means more people were still found in rural areas as compared to urban areas, right? And if we see here, according to the head count ratio, how many percentage of poor people are found to be below the poverty line, then we will see that I'll read it from the book. It is written, in terms of proportion, that is head count ratio, in 1973 to 74, about 55% of the total population was below the poverty line. You can see here, a big population of India was below the poverty line, 55%. This is a big amount, okay, big population. And apart from this, 2011 to 12, this percentage has fallen to 22% now. Okay, it has fallen to 22%. So in 1973 to 74, more than 80% of the poor people. Now you can see here that out of the 55% of the total poor in India in 1973 to 74, out of those 55% total below the poverty line poor people, among them 80% were found in the rural areas, and rest 20% were found in the urban areas. As I told you before, that the percentage of the poor people were already more in rural areas. And after this, after this it is written that this situation has not changed even in 2011 to 12. So in 2011 to 12, still the situation is same. That is near about 80% of the below the poverty line people are found in the rural areas, and near about 20% are found in the urban areas. So in the 1990s, the absolute number of poor in rural and had declined, whereas the number of their urban counterparts increased marginally. But slowly, 1990s, it was found that the urban poor people population started increasing as compared to the rural poor population. And slowly in both these areas also, that is in the rural areas and the urban areas, the below poverty line people started declining, right? This all happened due to the reservations that is being given by the government to all those below the poverty line people that belong to mostly backward communities, okay, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, like this. After this, if we look at the another concept here, it is written state level trends in poverty. So according to the state level trends in poverty, this graph, multiple bar graph, is shown to you on page number 67. You will see that in big states of India, like that of Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal. These are the major states of India. In these states, what was the trend of poverty? Means how much it was there in 1973, the population of the below poverty line people in these big states, and in the coming years 2011 to 12, how much is the reduction in the poverty was observed. So this is what is called as state level trends in poverty according to the states we are going to study here. So I'll read this paragraph for you, given on page number 68. The state level trends in poverty are shown in chart 4.4. The two lines in the chart indicate the national poverty level, and the first line below indicates poverty during 2011 to 12. So there are two type of bars which are shown in the graph, page number 67. One graph is one bar is showing for the year 1973 how much was the population of the poor people in different states, and another bar which is black in color is shown in the year 2011 to 12. So in both these different years, we will see that how much poverty was reduced in different states till 2011 to 12, and how was it in 1973 to 74. So I'll read it more here. According to this chart, right, 6 states, that is Tamil Nadu. Remember these 6 states. This question can be put in your exams. That what were those 6 states? These 6 states are where still poverty is to be found among the large section of the people. These are Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal and Odisha. Right? These 6 states still contain a large population of poor people. And during 1973 to 74, it was these 6 states were found to be having a large population of poor people. But after that, during 1973 to 2012, many Indian states reduced poverty levels to a large extent. So, reaching up to the year of 2011 to 12, we found that these big states also experienced a big reduction in poverty, or the population of poor people decreased to a very high level in some of the states, these major states, till 2011 to 12. So many in India, you can see here, yet the poverty levels in 4 states, if you'll see, after the reduction in poverty till 2011 to 12, still it is found that there are 4 states even now where we can see a large population of poor people. Okay, even if we study the data of 2011 to 12. So these 4 states names are Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so these 4 states are still far above the national poverty level. You may notice West Bengal and Tamil Nadu reduced poverty level much better than other states. So which were those 2 states? If the question will put up that which were those 2 states in which the largest reduction in poverty was to be experienced. So these were West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. Okay. So if we talk about different causes of poverty, what are the different causes of poverty? If the question comes, then here are some of the points given in your book, page number 68. I'll read those points for you. These are some of the main causes of poverty. Number 1, social, economic and political inequality. That some of the people are not given equal level of opportunities, maybe on the basis of political freedom or maybe on the social or economical basis. The incomes are very much low and other people are having very high incomes. A big gap is there between them. Second reason is social exclusion. These people are also being socially excluded from the society, and because of this they face poverty. Unemployment is the another problem. Indebtedness is the another problem, where a particular person in the rural area, if he has taken loan for growing one crop and his crop failed, he was unable to give back the loan. So for growing another crop, he has to again take another loan, second loan. So if this time the crop is alright, but he will be trapped into debt. He will be called as indebted, because in the second crop he has not got that much amount of money in which he can pay the first loan also and the second loan also. This is how these people become indebted. So this is the another problem of poverty, cause of poverty. Unequal distribution of wealth, as I have already told you about. So aggregate poverty is just the same of individual poverty, and poverty is also explained by general economic wide problems. Okay, so general problems which spread poverty are like low capital formation, because if the production is getting low, then people are also getting lesser jobs. and they are falling into poverty. They have to face poverty. Apart from this, lack of infrastructure is also another cause, and lack of demand, pressure of population, lack of social welfare nets. These are another general problems which cause poverty. So as over 70% of the Indians were engaged in agriculture throughout the British Raj period, the impact of the sector was more important on living standards than anything else. So you can see from the time of British Raj, 70% of the people were engaged in agriculture sector, where such a large population is not required because the production in agriculture is not that much. Right? So if the production is not that much in the agriculture sector, then why this large population is engaged there? Because other two sectors, that is manufacturing and the service sector, do not absorb these people because they are illiterate or they are not skilled to do those jobs, and that is why they are still staying in that primary sector, agricultural sector, engaged in the agricultural activities, where these many people are not employed, and this is why it causes the problem of disguised unemployment. Then let's see that what our government is doing for it. Okay, so to remove this poverty, okay, some type of programs are started by the government. So let's study about these approaches of the government.